Hello and welcome to the Life and Fight of a podcast.
Podcast.
My name is Jake Cross from Empire Grappling and UK Fighting Championships, but you all know that by this point anyway. I'm joined as always by my co-host in Simon Price from High BJ and the Grapples Academy. Simon, what's May been like for you? Obviously, we've not done one of these one-on-one for about a month now. What's been going on?
Yeah, it's been a while. Do you know what? I'm going to be honest with you, mate. I've had a few ups and downs. I think it might have been last week. Do you know when you sort of like eighth weekend now, fed up, and like it didn't affect my work. It was just more my mood and sort of temperament, really. Like I wasn't down. I just felt fed up. And I just, with that, I was just sort of took a bit of a step back. And when I wasn't doing my sort of essential tasks to get through the day,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not going to push myself too much this week. Give myself a bit of time to recover, give myself a bit of time to mentally recharge. Because like naturally, I'm a bit intrinsic as it is. Do you know where this lockdown stuff, it's not too much of a difference to my day to day anyway.
Yeah.
The only difference is that I'm not going out to train. I'm not seeing my girlfriend as much. When I do see her, we're literally sitting 2 meters apart talking, which is bizarre, but we're making do. And I'm not grappling, which I think mentally, if that's taken its biggest toll on me.
Yeah.
That and not obviously not seeing my girlfriend properly. But no, like other than that week, mate, it's been good. Like this week, I bounced back, and do you sort of feel like you're firing all cylinders and you're sort of raring to go? Been up every morning doing like a 5K walk, listening to books, and yeah, it's been one of them ones. But about yourself, mate.
Maine's been a bit of a weird one. I sort of set plans in motion the end of April to like keep myself busy, like getting IKEA furniture, which I've been meaning to do for months since I moved in. I've not had a wardrobe in like 7 months, so that was sort of my beginning things. Sort of like because I have so much spare time to sort of do up the house, which I think a lot of people have done. A lot of people have been doing the garden or the house or whatever because they've had the time to do so. Me and my girlfriend have been tearing down walls because we've got big ideas what we want to do with the house, and obviously we want to try and save as much on labour as we can. Just little bits like that, trying to keep as sane as possible, trying to plan for things for days ahead, whether it's building furniture, whether it's cleaning the car, whether it's doing the garden, cleaning the flags, just have something to do every day, including the podcast, which fills up the day a little bit because I know myself, I want to wake up a bit later because there's nothing really to do in the day. But then I find myself going to bed later because I've woke up later. So I'm trying to fix that by getting up a bit earlier, going to sleep a bit earlier. But yeah, April was not the best month. Was very, very down. And then this week, if people do follow Empire Grappling, I made an announcement about I had to get a government loan to offer refunds because all my money was tied up in investments in new mats, which, funnily enough, a couple of minutes ago just released that to the public of what they look like. I'm still waiting for them to come. They're supposed to be here in the next couple of days, but they've been delayed because of ports and everything being backlogged, but that's no real problem because I've got no event to put them on anyway. But my anxiety was through the roof on Sunday. I didn't really sleep ready for the announcement on Monday. I know it was a weird feeling. I don't know what you would think about it, but on people are listening, but I wasn't sure how people would take my video and being really open and honest because I didn't want it to come across as sympathetic, but I also didn't want it to come across like I didn't care because I 100% do care, and I think a lot of people know that. I wanted to make sure it was the right balance of wanting to support people, which is my main aim, and wanting people to still support Empire selfishly because otherwise Empire wouldn't exist without the people and the fans and the spectators and the competitors. And I seem to have got the right balance, and the support is unreal. The amount of people that I've had email me, not even just saying which option they wanted, whether that was a refund, which is perfectly fine, or whether that was option A of the credit and getting the discount codes from our sponsors like Progress and DPO, which support both of us and stuff. Going the extra mile of saying, oh, I had an email from someone saying, why don't you look into this grant? You might qualify for this, or they'll give me help and assistance, or even just we're supporting you're one of the best events we know, or you're the best event. That's something like that's nice, even if it's a couple of words. And I feel like maybe you've got it with Hive. It's sort of brought us closer together as communities, I thought. I don't know what
No,
you think.
100%. Yeah, no, 100%. Like, I've been quite vocal with my lot with Hive and thankful for the support. We've had a few exciting announcements in there, and just trying to keep things alive in the group and showing everyone my gratitude. Like, trying to sort of every now and again reaching out to them as a group, seeing how everyone's doing. But like, yeah, like you said, the support that I've received from everybody at Hive has been fantastic, and I can't thank him enough. And like, I can imagine the same thing with the support you've been getting from Empire. It's like, it is an unnerving time. Like, I kind of want a club to go back to with everybody, and I think everyone's the same, where they want a club to come back to when we reopen. And it is a scary time, but I can't thank everybody enough for the support. But yeah, it's such a bizarre time, and I can understand where, like, a few gyms in America where they've kind of opened up, and unfortunately there's been like fines for certain businesses and police being called, which I see on both sides of the coin, because for one side of it is, I've got a business, I need to support my family,
Yeah.
and some of my students have trained for sort of mental health reasons as well as physical health reasons, and this is their outlet. And as grown adults, they should be allowed to make an educated decision whether they put themselves at that risk. But on the other side of the coin is, the health experts are there for a reason and advising what they're advising for a reason. And everyone's saying and trying to compare this illness to like the flu, and how smoking's caused more deaths per year, how cars cause more deaths per year, this, that, and the other. But one thing that nobody's really saying to these people is, we've not had to have a lockdown and control contact for these other things. And there are vaccines for these other things. Now, if there was no lockdown, no sort of self-isolation and no sort of quarantine type thing, then there's no telling what the deaths would have been, whether there would have been a larger impact on the economy, and whether this virus would have evolved into something more deadly.
Yeah.
Like, we can't really speak on the unknown, but one thing that we can be sure of is this lockdown has happened for a reason, and it has saved a lot of lives. But on the flip side of the coin is, we kind of want to and need to get back to some sort of normality soon. But I'm kind of on the err on the side of caution side at the moment, where if we go back too soon, things will get worse quickly. But then if we sort of take too long, then what's going to be the long-term effects in the other sides of the world or the other sides of the economy type thing? So, yes, I don't know.
It's a strange thing, because I don't think there is a technically right answer, because even the experts, and I mean that by the scientific experts, they're honestly saying there won't be a vaccine this year. Some people are saying there is, but they're the main people at the top saying there won't be a vaccine this year. They're putting everything in place to do so. They're trying everything they can. They're trying to get everyone to get a test if and when they want them. The genetic test to prove if you've had it. They're trying to put everything in place, but because this is an unknown commodity and we've not faced like anything like this in 100 years, and obviously 100 years ago we've not got the capability of what we've got now, so they struggled even more then. So we're not in the worst timing to ever have stuff like this, because social media, Zoom, we can all do stuff to survive. It's people like me and you, like that, which will earn nothing or next to little, or can lose the business, which probably on the fence, where a lot of people that are being furloughed or at home, they can easily say, and it sounds a bit blunt, they can easily say, yeah, we can ride this out and just watch TV or just work from home. It doesn't affect anything. But it does. It affects people like us where we won't have business to go back to, and there will be certain people that are furloughed that won't have a job to go back to because they've lost that much momentum or the clientele that they've had. They've then gone out of business, and there'll be a domino effect. So it will be a balancing act, like on a trapeze or whatever, where you go fully one way, you go fully another. And I think right now we're right in the centre to a point where I feel like the government of the lifting the lockdown slowly, like they said, it's slightly lifted a little bit beginning of May, it'll slightly be lifted a little bit in June, and then July might be a bit of a bigger opening. I completely understand that because we need to see how things peak up and perk. Like you look at how bad the media put on Italy and how bad they were struggling, and Spain and how bad they were struggling, and China and how bad they were struggling. And they're literally not like everything's back to normal, but they're opening like their version of Debenhams, where you can go around the perfume stores in Italy. Like you just need to be a bit more wary about stuff like wear masks or whatever. Anything that's tried on gets put into quarantine for 7 days, which is smart. But if what they were in 8 weeks ago, you would never have guessed that they would be like this now, that they were getting back to normal, less than 100 deaths a day, which is not great, but it's better than the nearly 1,000 a day which was 8 weeks ago or whatever it was. So it shows that we can get to that. I just feel like them countries, or like Italy, Denmark, Sweden, they're a lot more savvy than the Brits, and we're Brits, and that's sort of slagging us off. But I feel like there's a lot of people, like you've probably seen it on social media, a lot of amount of people that went like Blackpool and places like that, and this nice clean beach for weeks, and then it's dirty as hell. That just shows us full stop, and that's what worries me, and that's what airs me on. Same with you, the side of caution of just slow down, wait until the time's right, because we're muppets. As Brits, we just can't control ourselves. We're more bothered about KFC and McDonald's opening. And I'm one of them. I went KFC the other day and I was happy as hell because it was something that felt like normality.
Yeah. No, it's I completely agree with you. Like we're trying, like the government's, I hate to say this, but the government's almost putting too much trust in the general public. Because as a general public, we are very, very selfish. like you said, Blackpool Beach was rammed. Like,
big family on that beach, wasn't it?
Pardon?
Big family on that beach.
It's like, what reason, other than selfish reasons, would you have gone to the beach? Like, you could sit in your garden, enjoy the sun. You could sit in your front garden and talk with your neighbours. Like, I've been talking with my neighbours a lot more recently. Getting to, like, I speak to them quite regularly anyway, but just sort of more than I have done in the past, and getting to know them more. And that's not like me because I'm very antisocial. But and yeah, like I've had I won't say arguments, but heated discussions with very close friends on this subject as well. And we all differ in opinion. And I can't say I'm more right than them, because who am I to tell them? Like, at the end of the day, I'm just another person.
Yeah, I completely agree.
But I think we all need to slow our roll a little bit. And
shut your mouth.
Yeah.
The rock there. You don't understand that. That's a rock one.
I was like, I knew the reference in my head there, and I was like, I don't know how to finish this, but I'm sure you'll know it. No, yeah, but like, we need to slow our roll and just take stock and actually realise what's important here. And it might mess things up in the economy. It might put a few people in financial struggles. But at the end of the day, there's a bigger picture to it. And I 100% sympathise or empathise. I might have the wrong word there. But there are a lot of people in dangerous situations at the moment as well, where they're in unsafe home lives. And I don't think there's enough being done, but there's a lot being done to try and help that. And I kind of do see the need to try and come out of the lockdown a little bit faster for the sakes of those kind of lives as well. But that's a very broad subject, and I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to upset anybody. But at the same light, it kind of needs some sort of light shedding on it. But yeah, I think we need to not take the full bite when we're being given a little nibble at the moment. And another little thing that I don't know about you, but I've noticing a lot more litter again, which is becoming a massive pet peeve of mine, of how scruffy we are as a country as well.
Yeah.
Especially since the sort of fast food restaurants are opening and things like that, there's a lot more wrappers, there's a lot more just debris on the street, and it's like there's no need for it. But yeah, I'm gonna get off my soapbox there before I get too ranty.
No, I know what you mean. I feel like if we were a lot smarter as Brits, I feel like it would be a lot easier. But I feel like even though, like I said before, we've come together as a community, I feel like once it starts to lift, I feel like a lot of people will be every man or woman or even child for themselves a little bit, which I sort of get because you need to sort of support number one in your family and stuff. I just hope that it's not too long where, like, it's a bad recession right now. We're not feeling it too much because nothing's really open. But I feel like in 6 months or a year, when things and are in a new normal and not some shops aren't open, or some people, the amount of unemployment is a lot higher than it's been in a long time, that's when we'll start to feel it. And it's, what do you class as a bad time? Because is this a bad time? Yeah, in a way. In a year, could it be worse and we don't even have the virus? We could have a vaccine. Yes, it could be. Was a recession 12 years ago worse? Depends how you look at it. I feel like there's always something worse for people that don't really look at it. Like we were touching on before, but today is the 3-year anniversary of the Manchester bombing, the Ariana Grande concert, and that brings it full circle. Stuff like that. That's I would rather live like this every day than that anything happened to my friends or family or anyone like that in the world to have happen like that again. Because this is no one's fault. Like we said previously in the podcast, both of us, this is no one's fault. But that was something that someone vindictively planned to do, was a terrorist attack, and 22 people died. Over 100 were injured, quite severely as well. So you've got the I Love MCR Emergency Fund. You've got the guys that support me at do my graphics at Puck Drop. They've released a T-shirt today to support that. So I'll put the links in that as well. I didn't even know till today that this is how much people don't really speak about it. But the guy behind Puck Drop, him and his fiance, were at the bombing, at that, and they were helping the survivors and trying to help people trying to get away, which I think is amazing. But I've learned that in the last 2 hours just because we were speaking about today and stuff. But I'll put the link in the bio. Bradley at Putjob's doing amazing stuff, and his heart is in the right place. The amount of stuff that he's doing for charities and off his own back for no money for sporting teams to try and help them in this time is amazing. So we need more people like that around.
Oh, 100%. Like I still remember like what it was like waking up on that morning. Like it would, I think, because it was so close to home and children were targeted essentially, which it's difficult. Like I'm still struggling. I struggle to sort of go back to it, to be honest. But like I said, there's great companies out there. There's amazing people out there that are trying to do their best for the charities, for the cause, and almost for the families that have been affected. But yeah, like Jake said, we'll put the links for everything in the description for this, and if you're in a position to do so, please help these charities as well, and any other charities that are out there, like helping with the key workers, things are, if you can, do your bit, even if it's just doing the applause on a Thursday night. Every little helps. Really appreciated by all these people. But yeah, let's have a little switch up onto a bit of a more positive note at the moment.
Yeah.
Let's go back onto your mats, mate. Like, I remember when you sent me the image and the video a while back, mate. I got absolutely jealous. They were some sexy mats, if I'm going to say so. And when you sent me them and sort of the big plan behind it, as a friend and also somebody in the same industry, I was very proud and very impressed with what you'd achieved and what you'd reached with it. And like the anxieties that you said that you felt before the announcement and stuff, and with regards to like Empire and stuff, I get it completely. But it sort of comes from a place of caring about what everybody thinks about your company, and you caring that much about the company and the community. It's completely understandable having all that.
Yeah, the mats were always a long-term project. I had people know red and black jigsaw mats that I had for a previous sponsor. Then I bought them off them because they were sort of going out of business. Just because I didn't want to waste money in hiring them every event, which costs a lot of money anyway. And I'd rather have them so I can utilize them in any way I want for small events, big events, whatever. But after time, jigsaw mats, if you move them about that much, they're gonna wear and tear. They're just not gonna be purposely useful after a bit. So I looked into this sort of stuff like a year ago, but I had to put sort of plans in place to have the money because there were a lot. I had to sort of get, like, obviously we talked about the business loan for help with refunds. I had to sort of get business loans to sort of put things to the side for this. And then around December time, I got the sort of the designs put together. Pro Jiu-Jitsu and Barefoot. I spoke to the guys there. They helped me invest into it as well, to a point where I was then able to go, right, give it the green light. And all this stuff was coming from China because it's good quality and it's a lot cheaper than getting it in the UK. That's just the way it is. It's been like that for a lot of things for years. And then COVID-19 hits, everything stops before even the mats get started. But sorry, the mats had already been started, but not too much. But obviously I couldn't get my money back. I had to ride out the wave. But yeah, they are due in the country in the next sort of week or so. They're really cool. I've been lucky enough where Progress and Barefoot helped me with that. Obviously, UK Fighting Championship, that is my business, and they've helped me support with that as well. They've helped me with little bits and money there. Obviously, Mad Skills and Tim, which we've had on the podcast before, we've got a project together. So we've both invested in this together as well. And you got obviously like both of our sponsors in India Pure. They're not on the mats. They've actually just texted me about that, but that's not on purpose. Just because that was the money that was put into it, and that was the fairest thing to do. But with India Pure, I've got other ideas for them for around the mats. But obviously, everything sort of stopped because I had other ideas to put in place with like pull-up banners around the mats and stuff like that for other sponsors like Total Therapy and stuff that I work with. So it wasn't just the mats and that was it. There's going to be things around it to try and make it more of an event in an event, if that makes sense. So I've got other ideas that I want to do. It's just obviously everything's at a halt now because money is tied up. I'm trying to make sure Empire survives, and which it will. I'm confident it will. I'm not. That's not something that's bothering me too much. But obviously, at the back of your mind, you always say, "Well, what if? What's going to happen?" It really, yeah. It depends really how you look at it. I think different point of views. I know businesses like gyms are going out of businesses right now, which is really saddening to see. Yeah. But yeah, the mats I'm excited about. I don't want to go back on a negative note.
No, definitely. Let's keep it on sort of a bit of a jiu-jitsu topic then at the moment. So I know a lot of people are sort of really missing the mats, and I know a lot of people are sort of trying to avoid, not necessarily sort of, they're seeing it as this time as sort of, well, if I can't train in the gym, I'm not going to train at all.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at see if we can find a few ways to help maybe people find that spark again to get back into their training, like, or not necessarily their training, but some sort of extra activity. Because I know one thing that I've done this week that's been a massive change. I've done it once or twice prior to this week, but I've never done it consistently up until like I said, done it this week. I've just been getting up in the mornings, having a coffee, and then going out for a walk. First few times we're just sort of like a bit of a mosey, putting an audio book or a podcast on and getting up to like 4 or 5 kilometers without realizing it, just going around the area, quiet on the streets as well, but just getting lost in a book. But I found that's massively helped my day start off a lot better.
Yep.
As well as getting that extra activity, because prior to this I was quite active walking around a lot, because I drive to work, leave the car there most of the day and just potter around the area. And I found sort of doing this week massively helped me mentally and even physically, like feeling a lot better and starting the day on a more positive note, as opposed to being sat in my arse all day watching telly and thinking about training and me going, no, I'll start tomorrow now. But is there anything that you've sort of, because you've been out on your bike a lot more, haven't you, recently?
Yeah, I feel like I don't like running. I do, but I prefer, it's funny enough because obviously say,
oh, no, I'm not running. I'm just walking.
No, I mean, I don't mind running, but
right.
Cycling for me, it doesn't feel like an exercise. It doesn't feel like a chore unless obviously you start going above the 15, 20, 25 kilometers and stuff like that. I feel that's when you start knowing you're pushing your pace a little bit. But I feel like if you go out for a 10-kilometer bike ride, yeah, you might not burn off that much, but it's getting out, it's fun and stuff like that, and you get to see the sights. I'm lucky enough to be near, I'm sure it's the Liverpool Leeds Canal, but it sort of connects with Manchester as well. That it's just beautiful. It changes so much. Like you could be in like a really like sort of council estate sort of area, like with the houses quite close and stuff, and then you could really open up to like farmland, which is really nice, and then you've got like a little canal points with like little where the boats sit, and there's pubs obviously which are open now, but it'd be great if not in the sun. It's just stuff like that which I think's really nice to see. And then you see people out walking the dogs, taking the kids out, make sure they're getting their exercise. You get to see that stuff, and it sort of makes you smile because you're getting the exercise, and plus that boosts your mentality as well because you're seeing other people boosting theirs, and I think that's really cool to see.
No, definitely. Like I'm noticing like the few people that I do see on walks in the morning as well, they're either doing the same thing, so it's kind of like keeping the distance but nodding a smile, and I find that kind of helps me a little bit as well, where I'm sort of like, I'm not going to talk to you because I don't want to talk to you, but it's nice to smile and say hello. And yeah, I think like you said, just getting out and seeing different people, getting out of can feel like a bit of a prison in the house, getting some fresh air and moving. Like it's very, very underrated.
No, I agree. Funnily enough, I've seen the last one I did was a couple of weeks ago, obviously because I prefer my bike at the minute, but I was doing sort of like a quick 5K, and there's like a bridge, just a person walking bridge. It's quite steep with steps, and I've seen a lady, a gentleman, and a boy, and they were wearing hoodies, and I'm like, I recognise that logo as I'm getting close. I wear glasses, so I'm starting to focus. And I'm like staring at the hoodies, and the gentleman's obviously is a big guy, mostly big guy, and he's staring back at me. And I'm thinking, I'm trying to see if that's a Gracie Barra logo, and it was, because it could have not been. So I just said, nice, the red shield, just a bit of a joke. But normally I would stand and talk to them and obviously get to know them. But because of the social distancing, and you don't know where people are at mentally with stuff like that, I just like nodded and said hello and carried on. And when I came backwards, they were doing 100 legs of up and down the steps, and they're on like 90 odd by the time I got back, which I thought was quite cool. But yeah, just obviously, I think they'll probably like be Gracie Barra, Warrington, or Lee or Wigan or whatever it'll be. But I just thought it was cool that the jiu-jitsu community's out in force. I was wearing my sort of a Progress and my Empire stuff, and they were wearing the Gracie Barra, which they always do, the sort of head to toe in the red shield, aren't they?
Yeah, that's another subject. Let's not get into that rabbit hole. But no, it is nice seeing a lot of people sort of out and about, and yeah, like sort of keeping active, like, because a lot of people they will struggle training at home because it's not the easiest thing to do, and a lot of people don't associate home with exercise. They associate their home with a home, relaxing, kicking back, really just taking the edge off the day. But yeah, if there's any sort of piece of advice that I can give to somebody who's struggling to get a bit more active, or just struggling mentally, maybe, is try get out for an hour, at least 4 or 5 days of the week, and just go for a walk. Maybe put your headphones in, put a podcast in, listen to us. And just, go for a walk, get lost in your local area, take note of the things that you won't necessarily see. Like, because there's certain paths that I go down, and certain routes that I used to hang out as a kid, and there were known graffiti spots. And me, I'm a sucker for graffiti. I can sit there and stand there and look at it all day. And there's new artwork on the walls now, and it's not just sort of like somebody tagging the name, like full-on mural pieces. And it's just nice to see, nice to take in, and just getting some fresh air and moving around. Like, really, really would recommend anybody to getting out there and just giving it a go.
Yeah, even if it's obviously now we can go out on limited exercises. Go out on sort of, if you want, just people watch, sit down. Even if you don't feel like you can exercise, or you're at a point now where maybe you've already exercised, go out and just sit down and people watch and smile and nod and still stick a podcast in or something like that. Because I'm one of them people where, say, even if I'm in a restaurant or something, I people watch. It's not because I'm nosy or I'm staring. I just like to see how other people in it, like, as long as like they're happy and stuff, and you can see that they're having a laugh and they're with friends and stuff. I don't know. I'm just one of them people where mentally that helps me to see other people happy. People get out.
I completely agree with that, actually. Like, I'm the same. Like, I enjoy seeing joy. Too many joys in that sentence, but I enjoy seeing joy. Yeah. I was speaking about the same thing with my neighbour. Might have been last week or the week before, saying that, like, because he's just saying, because he's got 3 little girls, and they sort of play in his garden. They'll come into my garden sometimes, and they'll sort of water the plants and just have just play like in the area. And he's like, comes over, he goes, "Oh, I hope you don't mind us like the girls coming to the garden, do you?" I was like, "Mate, hearing the laughter, hearing like them having fun, and just sort of seeing them enjoy themselves.
Yeah,
mate, just let them do what they want in the garden. Like, they're not damaging it. Sometimes they're watering the plants, which saves me a job in the evening. And like hearing the joy genuinely makes me happy.
Yeah.
Just like when I hear people, like you said, hearing people laughing and seeing people having a enjoyable conversation, it genuinely makes me feel good. And yeah, no, I'm all for that. Like now that you've said it, I'm debating walking down to my local park, sitting on a bench, putting a set of headphones in, and just sitting in the sun for an hour later.
It's not a bad thing. I feel like people feel like if they go out, they need to be doing something, but technically nothing is doing something, because if you're sat there and you're not, obviously, you're keeping your social distancing like the rules are and stuff, but you are being safe, you're being well, you're listening, and you're just sort of in your own world, but you're seeing people walk past and you're giving them a smile and they're giving it back, or vice versa. That's a good thing. It's a positive thing, and you'll come back and you'll feel better, and you know you've been out for years, you're not just stuck in your house or wherever you are at the minute. And some people might need that, like you say, right now, being stuck with people you may not want to because you've not got a choice, and that could be friends or family, because for various reasons, whether they wind you up or other, where just getting out sometimes, even on your own, or like you can meet up with a friend now, just keep the social distancing. They say don't to do a bit of exercising, but mentally exercise yourself. Try and push yourself a little bit mentally. Sit there with a crossword if you want. Sit there with a Sudoku in the sun. Just do something different in your house, like I say, but keeping the safe and well distance.
No, 100%. Like I said, like speaking of that, do something mentally. I just started a new, because for me, sitting and reading a book, I struggle to not necessarily find the time, but I'd much rather be listening to an audio book and doing something at the same time. And then I can go back over it and digest it multiple times. I've just started the new 50 Cent audiobook.
I thought you were going to say 50 Shades of Grey then.
This might be on the list for later on, but...
Literally, you said 50, I just thought, please don't.
No, do you know, that's far from my cup of tea, to be fair. No. But no, the new 50 Cent book, Hustle Smart, Hustle Harder or something. Really enjoying it. I got about an hour into it today. And it's just very interesting. He's got a bit of his story into it, as well as sort of the lessons that he's learned navigating through like the corporate world and things like that. So I'd highly recommend that.
Let's see what I recently downloaded, because I had Audible for months and I just never used it, just forgot about it, and I got a credit every month. So I cancelled it anyway because obviously times are hard and I wanted to make sure I was saving money. But obviously I'm a wrestling geek, so I downloaded Under the Black Hat, which is Jim Ross's audio biography. I've downloaded a thing called Nitro, which is about the Monday Night Wars and WCW Nitro, which I love from the 90s. One called Dusty, which is narrated by Dusty Rhodes, old school. Death of the Territories, obviously before Vince McMahon bought all the territories, and it was more widespread, where you could be a bad guy in, say, Texas, but then you would move to, say, Arizona, and you'll be a good guy in the wrestling circuit, and or they would do like loser leaves town matches, do stuff like that, because social media wasn't around then, the internet wasn't around then, so you could hop between cities and change your character a little bit. So I wanted to learn a bit more like that. And Diamond Dallas Page, this is probably a good thing to talk about right now. It's called Positively Unstoppable. And if you don't know,
yoga as well.
Yeah, DDP yoga, a lot that changed a lot of lives. So that's a good thing as well. Get into DDP yoga. Yoga's a good thing, or just listen to DDP generally. Diamond Dallas Page from the wrestling. He's changed a lot of lives. A lot of people that were down and out, like Scott Hall and Jake the Snake Roberts, were dealing with substance abuse and obviously in older age anyway, and the bodies are battered because of wrestling. They've done that, and it's like a new lease of life, like they've been reborn again. And that's amazing to hear. So I need to carry on with my DDP one.
That sounds like a really good book, actually. I might get onto that. But you just reminded me of a book that you'd enjoy as well. That's Say Uncle. It's sort of like a history of catch wrestling, but
right, okay.
They start off with, it's sort of like an interview with different wrestlers from different eras.
Yeah.
So like you've got Josh Barnett features in it. I think Frank Gotch is in there. What's the judo player who? He's the one that he was Ronda Rousey's coach at one point.
Gambarian's uncle.
I'm not too.
Manny Gambarian's. Edmund Summit.
No.
Do you not mean him?
Gene LaBelle. They've got there's a great part with Gene
yeah.
LaBelle in it. And there's also like a technique aspect in it as well in the book, but they have some great stories from when it was like the traveling carnival wrestling, all the way to sort of when it started to transition to pro wrestling.
Yeah.
And then sort of like how it transitioned into modern day professional like pro wrestling, but then also modern day mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
And sort of when the split off started to happen. Really, for anybody who's a grappling fan or a wrestling fan, really recommend that book. And there's another one that I've started, but I've sort of left it and I need to go back to it. Is Blue Blood on the Mat. Again, it's history of sort of catch wrestling and prize fighting. Really recommend it.
Yeah, I like my audiobooks. I'm not really a reader. The joke is, I think I've said it on this podcast before, is that I can't read. And when people say, "Why don't you read this book?" I can't read. I don't know. I prefer to learn practically, as in someone shows me what to do in my face and I can get it done. Whereas if someone like tells me to read something of how to do it, like instructions, my mind, I have to reread it like 5 times. I don't know why. That's always been the case. I've always been better at doing, say, like coursework than tests.
Yeah,
The way it is. So Audible, I can sort of dive into the imagination of it, and a lot more people like my nana and my girlfriend and other people, they love a good book. They could read 10 on a holiday, whereas in me, I've had the same book for the last 12 years. Eric Bischoff's one since I was last working. I had an hour there and an hour commute back on the bus, so I would just read. And because podcasts weren't really a thing in like 2006, 2007 when I first started working. But yeah, I love a good Audible. I love listening to podcasts. I listen to Ariel Hawani's every week about MMA, obviously depending on what's updated. Between the Ropes, which is a wrestling one. You got Bruce Pritchard, Eric Bischoff. They do one with Conrad Thompson. They dive back into like old pay-per-views when they were in charge, and they talk about what was going through their mindset and why matches were put together and how they think it's aged. And I just think that's a great concept because everyone loves nostalgia. So you probably look back at, say, like an Attitude Era thing, say Rock and Austin from WrestleMania 17 in 2001, or maybe a bit before that, and like it's classed as like the best WrestleMania ever and the best promo ever. So if you've never watched it and you're not even a wrestling fan, just Google WrestleMania 17 promo because it is amazing on YouTube. They talked about the mindset of that and how they got into it. So obviously I'm a big wrestling geek, so that's what gets my heart pumping and what gets me interested. But other than that, what else has been going on recently, Si? Have you noticed anything else in the news or anything? Or?
You know what? Some big news in the podcast world. Joe Rogan signing a multi-year deal with Spotify. Was it like 100 mil for licensing rights?
$100 million. So what he said is that
I think there's more than that as well. Which
I think there's added extras, but basically just said they just want him exclusive to Spotify from 2021. That nothing will change. They won't have creative control. Nothing will change at all. It'll still be the same JRE, Joe Rogan experience, but it'll just be on the Spotify platform because he generates that much interest. It's crazy because when we first started, mate, and you know this 11, 12 years ago, we couldn't stand Joe Rogan. We literally would talk about muting the guy because he would just spoil fights. But now...
predicting the wrong moves and works.
The longer I've been in this game, and the longer more understand it, and the more he's learned as well, probably over the last 10 years, the more I could listen to him on 90% of the things. Sometimes he gets a bit wacky and conspiracy theories when he gets Eddie Bravo and stuff.
Well, that's the beauty of his podcast, though. It's him. He doesn't change himself for...
Yes. It goes on about smoking weed and doing drugs and whatever, but he's a good listen. I don't listen to him as much as I like because I pick guests which are interesting. Like when he has like Eddie Bravo and stuff, I'm not interested. But I think he's had like in the past like Russell Brand and Elon Musk and stuff like that. I'm glad to listen to people like that because they're funny, they're informative, and some of the wacky comments like Russell Brand makes, I just laugh anyway.
Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Funny enough, Russell Brand was on Good Morning Britain this morning talking about how much he's missing jiu-jitsu. Aaron Chatfield put it on Facebook saying that he was on, so I'll have to look back at that.
I'll have to get a quick look at that. But I think there's a few lessons that everybody can take away though from Joe Rogan getting Spotify. Like, because you've got to think He's got over 4,000 hours worth of content on YouTube.
Wow.
He's got, I think he gets over 100 million downloads a week, not streams, downloads. I think that's what he reported last week. I think it was either per month or per week. He reported that last year. I cannot see this being the first time Spotify's approached him.
Yeah.
And I think he's stuck to his guns and he's stuck to his brand. And Spotify have pretty much said to him, we want you. We're not going to intrude on your creativity. We're not going to affect your sponsorships. We're not going to affect your content. All we want to do is host your podcast, video and audio.
Yeah.
Now, Joe Rogan knows his worth. And it wouldn't surprise me if on top of this 100 million that he's got, he gets a share of every membership that comes through using his promo code, if he gets one.
Yeah.
He'll probably get some share of some form of equity. He'll probably get some form of payment per stream. Like, there's a lot of lessons to take from Joe Rogan taking this move. And I think he's done it brilliantly. Like, looking at the way that he brands himself and looking at the way that he's built up his audience, built up his content, the consistency. It's something to really sort of marvel at, really. I'm really impressed with it.
He's done well for himself, and I think like a lot of people may follow suit now, knowing maybe what they're worth, and maybe they can sort of say, well, Jordan got 100 million, I only get half of his views, so maybe I should get 50 million. It depends who you are, but maybe you'll find a lot more exclusivity. And I guess it's more like the streaming platforms like Amazon and Apple Plus now and Netflix and stuff like that. They're all fighting for TV series and films. Obviously, they create their own content, but you see a lot of things like, I think like The Office US has moved from Netflix to Amazon because obviously the contracts end with stuff like that. You see a lot of people fighting for content and having something like JRE on exclusively on Spotify. You're laughing because it's a win-win. Yes, it'll cost a lot of money, but if you think about it, someone that signs up for £10 a month on Spotify and then you get them 100 million people, that pays for itself in a year. So
100%.
After that, it's all profit for everyone. I guarantee you'll probably still get shares after that. It'll be worth so many more. So yeah, that's a cool thing to see, especially because he's part of the MMA community, and it shows how much he's being recognised, and the MMA community is being recognised because it'll come on a bigger platform. It's news. It'll be all over.
I think bigger than that as well. It kind of legitimizes podcasting, which with us sort of we're kind of still fairly green on the podcast scene.
Talk for yourself, Simon.
But it sort of shows the legitimacy of podcasts. Like, because I know there's other podcasts out there that have had smaller deals with similar kind of concepts. There's other podcasts that have gone there and achieved TV deals. There's podcasters that have got series deals with TV companies. There's big scope now for podcasters to be a force in the entertainment industry, which for me is like, I find that aspect of it more exciting, more than the financial side of it. It shows that we're kind of hitting a new era of entertainment, and audio is really taking off.
I think, obviously, I know you've got to go soon because you've got a class in about 15 minutes, so I'll try and wrap it up. Just two things to touch on. May 30th, the UFC is back, headlined by Gilbert Burns and Tyron Woodley. What a fight that is. They've not really released too much on the card, but rumours it's going to be back at the Apex in Las Vegas, which is positive for because once that's back in Las Vegas, because they've got a purposely built arena. I think that was like £100 million to create, so full enough with the Spotify thing. If that week one goes back in Vegas, rumours that boxing will go in Vegas the month after because they'll follow the UFC structure. So maybe we'll touch more on that on Tuesday anyway because we'll probably have more details to that next week. Bundesliga was back last week in Germany. That seemed to go off without a hitch. It's back today with the Berlin derby, Hertha Berlin and FC Union Berlin, I think it's from the top of my head. So it means that the Premier League will start coming back. The Liga's started training. I like to before about La Liga and Serie A. They're talking about coming back, the worst hit countries in Europe until, obviously, we surpassed them. They're starting to come back now. So it shows positive for us. But we'll talk about that on another one. So I know you've got to go soon. Hit us up if you want anyone with guests. Simon, who we got on Tuesday?
We've got Brotherhood Performance next week. So any of you competitors with questions on S&C, you want to level up your training away from the mats and outside of the mats, it's definitely going to be one to look out for. Hit him up, check him out on Instagram. Plenty of really good material on learning how to train effectively to maximize your time on the mats. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Sweet. That's Tuesday. This will be out tomorrow for us, today for you guys when you listen to it. But thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for watching. Depending on how you're doing it. But yeah, stay safe. Be in touch.
Enjoy your weekend, guys.
Yeah, you too,
Peace.
man.